By 1924, a Western woman walked alone into Lhasa, Tibet, a city then closed to foreigners. That woman was Alexandra David-Néel. Born in 1868 near Paris and raised in Belgium, she grew up fascinated by travel, philosophy, and Eastern religions. In her teens, she roamed Europe, studied Asian thought, and embraced both theosophy and anarchist ideas. During the 1890s, she worked as an opera singer in French Indochina to fund her journeys, and in 1904 she married Philippe Néel, though they would spend most of their marriage apart as she continued her travels. In 1912, she moved to the Himalayan borderlands of Sikkim to study Buddhism and met a young Tibetan, Afo Yongden, who became her adopted son and lifelong companion. She lived in high-altitude hermit caves, practicing meditation with local lamas and immersing herself in Tibetan culture. In 1924, disguised as a Tibetan pilgrim, she and Yongden entered Lhasa, becoming the first Western woman known to do so. She stayed for about 2 months, visiting monasteries and observing the city before leaving as suspicions rose. Back in Europe, she published My Journey to Lhasa and many other works on Tibet and Buddhism, settling in Digne-les-Bains, France. She continued traveling into her 80s, even venturing through China during the Sino-Japanese War. Alexandra David-Néel died in 1969 at the age of 100, leaving behind books and a legacy that opened the West's eyes to Tibetan life and Buddhist philosophy. By the early 1900s, a woman was crossing the Andes on horseback and writing for National Geographic about places few outsiders had seen. That woman was Harriet Chalmers Adams. Born in 1875 in Stockton, California, she grew up exploring the Sierra Nevada with her father, and at 14 spent a year traveling from Oregon to Mexico. In 1899, she married Franklin Pierce Adams, and instead of settling down, they saved to travel. In 1904, the couple set off on a 3-year journey through every country in South America, crossing the Andes multiple times and venturing into jungles and remote villages. Harriet began publishing vivid articles and photographs for National Geographic in 1907, becoming one of its most popular contributors. She retraced parts of Columbus's routes, crossed Haiti on horseback, and during World War I served as a war correspondent in France, the only woman journalist allowed into the trenches. In 1925, frustrated by male-only exploration clubs, she co-founded the Society of Women Geographers and became its first president. Harriet Chalmers Adams died in 1937 at the age of 61, leaving a legacy as one of America's great explorers and a pioneer for women in the field. By 1992, a young doctor and engineer had become the first African-American woman to travel into space. That trailblazer was Mae Jemison. Born in 1956 in Decatur, Alabama, and raised in Chicago, she grew up obsessed with science fiction and space, inspired by Star Trek. She entered Stanford University at just 16, earning degrees in chemical engineering and African American studies, then completed her medical degree at Cornell. After working as a general practitioner, she joined the Peace Corps as a medical officer in West Africa, running health programs in Sierra Leone and Liberia. In 1987, Jemison was accepted into NASA's astronaut program. On September 12, 1992, aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour on mission STS-47, she spent nearly 8 days in orbit, conducting experiments in life sciences and materials science. She was also the first astronaut to appear on Star Trek, reflecting the show that inspired her. Mae Jemison left NASA in 1993 to found her own technology and educational companies, championing science literacy and STEM education. Her journey showed that determination and curiosity can break barriers on Earth and beyond. In the mid-20th century, a self-taught British archaeologist helped uncover the deep story of human origins. That woman was Mary Leakey. Born in London in 1913, she spent much of her childhood traveling in Europe and developed a passion for ancient art and fossils. With no formal degree, she gained field experience, drawing stone tools and artifacts for archaeologists. In 1936, she married Louis Leakey and began decades of excavation in East Africa. Together, they uncovered some of the earliest evidence of human ancestors, including the 1.75 million-year-old skull of Paranthropus boisei at Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania. Mary specialized in stone tools, developing the first thorough classification system for them. In 1978, near Laetoli in Tanzania, she and her team discovered the famous 3.6 million-year-old hominin footprints preserved in volcanic ash, direct evidence of early upright walking. She continued fieldwork well into her 70s, training a new generation of paleoanthropologists. Mary Leakey died in 1996 at age 83, leaving a legacy of discoveries that reshaped our understanding of human evolution. In the early 1900s, a British woman became one of the most influential figures shaping the modern Middle East. That woman was Gertrude Bell. Born in 1868 into a wealthy family in northern England, she excelled academically, earning first-class honours in history at Oxford, at a time when few women attended university. After graduation, she turned to travel, archaeology, and languages, becoming fluent in Arabic, Persian, and Turkish. She explored remote deserts and ancient ruins in the Ottoman Empire, producing detailed maps and scholarly works. During World War I, Bell's deep regional knowledge led Britain to recruit her as an intelligence officer in Cairo and later Baghdad. She advised the British on tribal politics and helped organize the 1921 Cairo Conference, where the borders and leadership of the new state of Iraq were decided. She became a close advisor to King Faisal I and helped establish Iraq's first antiquities laws and museum. Gertrude Bell died in Baghdad in 1926 at the age of 57. Her legacy is a mix of scholarship, exploration, and political influence, a remarkable woman who left an enduring imprint on Middle Eastern history. In the 1960s, a young marine scientist began breaking barriers beneath the waves. That pioneer was Sylvia Earle. Born in 1935 in New Jersey and raised in Florida, she developed a passion for the ocean, exploring the Gulf of Mexico as a child. She earned a PhD in phycology, the study of algae, and soon became one of the world's leading marine biologists. Earle made record-setting dives, including a 1,250-foot solo descent in a submersible off Hawaii in 1979, still one of the deepest untethered dives ever by a woman. She led the all-female Tektite 2 underwater habitat project in 1970, living and working on the seafloor for 2 weeks to study marine life. Later, she served as the first female chief scientist of the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Nicknamed Her Deepness, Sylvia Earle has authored books, led more than 100 expeditions, and founded Mission Blue to protect ocean hope spots worldwide. Her life's work has helped transform global understanding of the ocean and inspired new generations to safeguard it. In the early 1900s, a woman at Harvard transformed how we understand the stars. That woman was Annie Jump Cannon. Born in 1863 in Delaware, she grew up fascinated by the night sky and her mother's teaching of star names. After studying physics and astronomy at Wellesley and taking graduate courses at Radcliffe, she joined the Harvard College Observatory, where women were hired as computers to classify stellar spectra. Cannon developed the simplified OBAF-GKM classification system still used today, sorting hundreds of thousands of stars by their temperature and color. She personally classified more than 350,000 stars for the Henry Draper catalog, an unprecedented achievement. Despite losing most of her hearing to illness in her 20s, she became a leading figure in astronomy, receiving honorary degrees, and in 1925 becoming the first woman to receive an honorary doctorate from Oxford. Annie Jump Cannon died in 1941, but her system and meticulous work laid the foundation for modern stellar astrophysics and helped open the field to future generations of women scientists. In 1963, a 26-year-old former textile worker from a small Russian village became the first woman in history to travel into space. That pioneer was Valentina Tereshkova. Born in 1937 in the Yaroslavl region of the Soviet Union, she left school early to work in a textile factory, but trained as an amateur parachutist in her spare time. Her skydiving skills caught the attention of Soviet space officials when they began recruiting women for the cosmonaut corps. Selected from more than 400 applicants, she underwent intense training alongside male cosmonauts. On June 16, 1963, aboard Vostok 6, Tereshkova orbited Earth 48 times over nearly 3 days, more flight time than all previous US astronauts combined at that point. She kept flight logs, conducted experiments, and proved that women could handle the rigors of space. After the mission, she became a prominent public figure, representing the Soviet Union abroad and later serving in politics. Valentina Tereshkova's flight remains a milestone, breaking a gender barrier in human space exploration and inspiring generations worldwide. In the 1920s, a young American woman set out into the wilds of Africa and Borneo, filming exotic animals and bringing their world to audiences back home. Osa Johnson and her husband Martin shared a dream of exploring distant lands, which began when they met in Kansas City, Missouri. Together, they embarked on multiple expeditions across Africa, documenting lions, elephants, and tribal life with their motion picture cameras, at a time when filming in the field was extremely difficult. In the 1930s, they traveled to the jungles of Borneo, recording rare wildlife and indigenous cultures, producing silent films that were shown in theaters worldwide. Osa's daring work, often alongside her husband, helped popularize wildlife documentaries and inspired generations of naturalists. After Martin's death in 1937, she continued lecturing and sharing their films until her own death in 1953. Her life combined adventure, courage, and a passion for bringing the natural world to the public eye. In the 1920s, a young American anthropologist began studying cultures in the South Pacific, changing how the world understood human behavior. Margaret Mead grew up in Philadelphia, born in 1901, in a family that encouraged intellectual curiosity. She earned a PhD in anthropology at Columbia University under Franz Boas and Ruth Benedict. Mead's groundbreaking fieldwork in Samoa in 1925 explored adolescence and gender roles, producing her influential book Coming of Age in Samoa, which challenged Western assumptions about human development. She continued studying cultures in New Guinea and other parts of Oceania, examining child-rearing, social norms, and sexuality. Her research and writing brought anthropology into the public eye, combining rigorous scholarship with accessible books and lectures. Margaret Mead also advised on education, public policy, and international relations. She died in 1978, leaving a legacy as one of the most influential anthropologists of the 20th century, reshaping our understanding of culture and human development.